I'm going to be talking about a 6th grade project in digital art. It's the Digital Mosaic project. This project was heavily based in student choice. It's an inquiry-based project and has differentiation. Any project in the art room is really going to be project-based learning, but I want to talk a little bit more about the differentiation and student choice for this one. Student choice is at the center of current art education practices. Students are finally learning to think like artists rather than to just reproduce a product, which is what we had them do a lot, I think, in the past. In this unit, students were really able to draw on their own interests and ideas to express their individual viewpoints in an artistic way. So in this unit, it was inquiry-based in that we really looked at the essential question and enduring understanding: how are artists inspired by the past, and how can you take art history but go ahead and modernize it and make it your own. And students were able to do that. So we started by looking at mosaics of the past. So we looked at some different mosaics, the history of mosaics, and we looked at mosaics from different cultures: Greece, the Byzantine Empire, how the Native Americans use mosaics. And then we looked at some contemporary artists and looked at how they interpret mosaics. And we thought about ways that they could make some contemporary mosaics themselves. Then students went ahead and we talked about the nitty-gritty. So this is where your digital citizenship comes in. This is how students, learn to use technology appropriately and respectfully, and to make it their own. So we talked about what is digital art, what are some careers within the digital art, what is copyright, okay? How do you search safely? And how do you also make sure that you are not copying someone else's ideas? So we looked at fair usage rights, and students learned to search appropriately. And then we also talked about PPI, pixels per inch, how to pick a picture that is going to be crisp and clean when you blow it up. And because they were changing the picture around to make it their own, then they were able to use something that had a copyright that was okay, but it was important for them to know it was okay rather than just clicking and finding a picture off the internet. So as we started, students, learned about digital art in the Mosaic presentation, and we also looked at the project overview and grading criteria. I do keep a couple different copies of the rubric, and I do hand them out differently to different students. Because when it comes to differentiation, we differentiate in several ways. One is cooperative learning strategies. We give visual directions, culturally responsive resources, but also if a student is having a hard time, if a student maybe needs a little more challenge, I will sort of change the expectations. So one student might need 100 pieces for their digital mosaic, and another student might need 50. Someone else might have a larger picture, and someone else might have a smaller picture. So there were a lot of ways I differentiated as we went through. So as you look here, for each day, I've got the folder, and inside the folder, I then post the daily agenda again, and then I've got the PowerPoints we used and any video clips. I like to embed the video clips right in the folder so that students don't have to click somewhere else, they can see. So if they've got the assignment overview and grading criteria, and I had several of those, and you can go ahead and assign different folders to different students. So so each student saw the one that was applicable to them. And then for the first step of the project, the first day, I had the handout so they could follow along the directions step by step, as well as the video directions. So students can choose either one. And if they're ahead, they can move on to part 2. Let's go back. So the first day, they basically found their idea and basically just created their file. Then they went ahead the second day of class, and that's when they learned to create their layers and then create the actual little pieces. I like to go ahead and make my videos on the computer using the PowerPoint screen recording. And then I often upload them to just the video editor right here on our laptops. And once I make the video, then I can go ahead and I can add it to YouTube, and I can embed it from there. And one nice thing about the video editor is you can create these little title screens. So as they go through, they know which step we're on. So if they're using both the video direction and the handout, that helps. So they've got their video. And I try to include a lot of troubleshooting as well. Now, students who are having a harder time, they can actually, I will do it on the smartboard with them step by step and talk them through it. But you've got different types of learners, and that way you've got the learners that can go ahead on their own and they can work independently. So the next week, because we only see students once or twice a week, the next week we started with a class progress check and a critique of the work in progress. So this was really a peer review, troubleshooting, working together. And a lot of times students chose to work next to each other and help each other as they go. Their Wednesday was a home day because we were remote learning at that time. So that's just sort of a catch up and review. And at the end, on the last day, what they did was they went ahead and they learned how to do a final save on their project. And they uploaded it so that everyone could see it. So if you look here, I use the submission post, the discussion as my submission. So I've got my Digital Mosaic project submission, and I can click here, and I can see each student's project submitted. Clearly, this student was very into it. Look, he did more and more. So he didn't just do one. You can tell he finished early because he was the first one who submitted, and he went ahead. And it was nice because other students were able to reply to them. I was also able to give them grading and a comments on the side as well that was only visible to them. And you can see some students did ones that were simpler. Okay, other students definitely were able to, this was a student who was more accelerated. She was able to add more layers, and hers is a little bit more complicated. And as you see, this student went ahead and added a background to his. Other students, theirs didn't have a background. But you've got variety of student interests, but basically they are going ahead and taking something traditional, a traditional medium in art, such as the digital mosaic, and making it contemporary. And this here this is where they post it for the rest of the class, but then they can also upload the image to their digital portfolio so that they've got it, and that's global collaboration because then they can share that image out to the rest of the world. One thing that's nice about giving students choice is you're going to end up with a lot of different projects, and you're also going to have very invested and interested students. You can see that, this was a small group, but they really, they found things that they were interested in, from Billie Eilish to Happy Gilmore, and they were able to connect with the project as well as learn, and not everybody's doing the same thing, which is nice.